Hi, I'm Eliza Stoddart and we're at Ralston today, where I'm based in Leicestershire, and I'm an event rider. I'm competing up to 5-star level, but today I want to introduce a BE100 horse. This is Casper. He's called MacGyver, and he was competing at BE100 level last year. He's a really lovely horse for the future. He had a break over Christmas, spent probably 6 weeks in the field, and so when I brought him back in, he's a naturally light type of horse, quite loved looking. I started off doing up to half an hour, just hacking him walk for probably a week or 2 weeks, and slowly just built the work up, adding trot work up to 45 minutes, and slowly then when I've done a month of walking and trotting on the roads, just to build a basic fitness level, I start to introduce canter work on my hacks in February. He is naturally quite easy to keep fit, whereas other horses in my yard might be slightly heavier build, and it would take me more hill work to get them to get to their optimum weight fitness. We'd perhaps use some hill canters to start to take the weight off them so that they're not putting too much pressure on their legs, because when they're eventing, the more weight they carry, the more likely they are to pick up an injury if they are struggling with the work. So I would really think about, as a rider, what type of horse it is and how much fitness they need to get to their optimum weight. As a grassroots rider, you'd want to be thinking about working back from your aim at badminton and thinking about which events are similar in the terrain. You want to feel that your horse is finding that the fitness run's very easy, so you'd probably have 5 runs in order to prepare for badminton, and you'd just want to make sure that after each run you're making sure that they haven't blown too much in their canter work and that they're not struggling to get back to their normal breathing rate and heart rate. So as a rider, it might be very useful to create an 8-week plan working back from badminton grassroots. It would be good to get some advice on what you're feeding your horse, perhaps asking your local supplier. You have a rep that comes out and weighs all the horses. You want to feel that you're not feeding them too much hay, because obviously you don't want them to be struggling going around these courses. If you perhaps want to have a weekly canter as well as doing your event at the weekend, I know that everybody is different and a lot of people would be working during the week and might not have time to have a regular routine, but as part of your plan you want to include a canter once a week if your horse is struggling to reach that optimum fitness, as well as perhaps a show jumping or dressage lesson in order to prepare for the badminton grassroots. So as you can see from the shape of this horse, he's naturally quite a lean type of horse, and we struggle to get him to gain weight. So he would be fed slightly more, and I wouldn't do so much canter work with this horse because he's a slightly more buzzy horse naturally. But if you're worried about how you can look at your horse and see whether it's at its optimum weight, I can't see his ribs. He's got a good covering, but he's looking streamlined and he's looking like an athlete. I just wouldn't want them looking fat or having a big belly. Everybody's got a different way of managing their horses and their stable management routine. A lot of horses would live out, but at the moment my horses are stabled because the paddocks are very wet and it's not practical at this time of year. So if they're stood in for long periods of time, it's very tempting to feed them lots of haylage and lots of hay, which would make them gain a lot of weight, which means as a rider then you've got to put so much work into keeping the weight off them in order to get them to that optimum weight and fitness for the badminton grassroots. So even though you think you feel sorry for them standing in the stable, it might be best to separate your hay nets into much smaller and more regular feeds rather than just giving them a huge hay net twice a day.